To start this second page, we have two examples similar to the first page. On the first problem, notice there is no number in front of the parentheses, but there is this negative sign. You do still have to distribute it. It's essentially like you're distributing a negative 1. So we would multiply this negative 1 times 1 here, then bring down your subtraction and multiply a negative 1 times x. To do this, we do our multiplication. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. But this time, a negative and a negative. Again, I'm not going to put minus negative 1. I'm going to write that as plus x. If you write it as plus 1x, that's still okay. But it should make that addition. In example 8, this has two terms because it has addition and subtraction. Even though this has a number and a variable, that's still just one term. Therefore, the negative 4x is what I am distributing. That becomes negative 4x times 2x minus, distribute here, negative 4x times 3. Now, I'm going to not put that highlighted section down yet because I want to go ahead and do this step by step. When I am multiplying this, I can multiply the negative 4 times the 2. Since this is multiplication, it does not matter what order. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. And then I also have the x times the x. That gives me x squared. Okay. Same concept here. When I am multiplying negative 4x times 3, I can multiply the negative 4 times the 3. That gives me negative 12, but I can't lose that x. That x has to come down with. Then I bring down this subtraction, and I can look to write my final answer in this highlighted section. I have negative 8x squared, but now I have two negatives. That makes this a plus 12x. Circle that or box that in for your final answer. One thing that's going to show up on quite a few of your tests and quizzes this year are going to be problems similar to this. They're basically error analysis problems is what we consider them, because we've solved them for you, but we've purposely made a mistake. The idea is we want to see if you can follow along the work that we did, identify what mistake we made, explain the mistake in a sentence, and then also correct the problem. So for here it says that Mr. Szabo made a mistake on this problem. Describe using a complete sentence or complete sentences what the mistake is. Then show your work to simplify it correctly. So we see the mistake is not that this wasn't drawn. Whether you draw that loop, arrow, whatever you want to call it, doesn't change the answer. Oftentimes when I am doing a problem like this, I will actually start with the show your work and simplify the problem correctly. That sometimes can be easier. So if I rewrite this problem down here and then go to solve it, I have negative 7 times 2x. I bring down this minus and then distribute here a negative 7 times 10, and I combine my terms. Negative 7 times 2 is negative 14. I bring down my x. That becomes a minus. Negative 7 times 10 is negative 70. Well, I see right away what happened. First, the negative 7 was only multiplied to the negative 2. I didn't distribute to my minus 10. With that said, I do have to put a correct final answer down here, meaning I want to put negative 14x, and this double negative becomes plus 70. Now I'll go back and write my sentence. we just talked about how we didn't distribute to the second term, to the 10. I'm not looking for one particular sentence, I'm looking for an accurate sentence. Whether you say, Mr. Szabo did not distribute to the 10, period, or Mr. Szabo did not multiply the 10, period, Mr. Szabo did not distribute to every term, period, some statement or sentence explaining that the negative 7 never got multiplied by the 10. So I will write Mr. Szabo did not distribute to the second term in the parentheses. And put a period because that's how we end sentences. And now you are ready to move on to the third page of notes.